Okay, so it is 9:20, and because I'm such a procrastinator, um, and kind of a night owl, I kind of wanted to do an unboxing slash uh, setup slash maybe even a brief playthrough, a couple rounds of Shadowrift. It's a co-op deck building game, one of the first ones out there. There are a growing number of co-op deck builders coming out. The latest big name one is the Harry Potter one. Not much like this one, but still a co-op deck builder with a very popular IP attached to it. But I haven't gotten this out to the table since I got it. I did not back the Kickstarter. I was about to back the reprint, second edition one, and then I saw the Board Game Brawl video where Nick says you gotta keep in mind these guys have a reputation of being super late with their deliveries. So, and I have plenty of Kickstarters. I've already have two that have bombed on me. Well, more than two. You guys saw my. You guys may have watched my Heroes of Metro City one, but I actually got the game and it looks nice, even though it's not super awesome. It's still nice to show off. The other two games, Project Elite, if you've heard of that one, I don't even know if I'm going to get that one. People who are getting it, about 50% of the backers who are getting it are getting incomplete sets, and it's already late. I mean, it's Kickstarter, so you expect it to be late, but you don't expect it to be late and incomplete, or still waiting when everyone else is getting theirs. I was a pre-order, like an early pre-order. Basically, they extended the Kickstarter pricing to the early pre-orders, and then Artipia said, "Oh, you know what? Guess what? Since we have a delay in production, you're gonna get your pre-order with fulfilled with the backers." But I don't get the same privilege of griping and whining and doing getting the whole Kickstarter experience, I guess, of being able to contribute to the community and vent and do whatnot. I can always go on to Board Game Geek, but I mean, why spread the discontent where it's not needed? But now it's like people are starting to get theirs with and without tracking numbers. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to get it. I sprung for the extra ugly plastic bosses, and because I'm not part of the Kickstarter group, I don't know how they're handling everything. It's all buggered up and pretty much soured me for future Kickstarters. I mean, there are some companies that, I'll back and stuff because, like, Simon is pretty reliable. I backed Zaya, Legend of the Drift System, the expansion. I bought the core set at my local game store. Or no, I bought it off of Amazon. I got to save $5. I got it like $5 cheaper. What else? Yeah, I mean, there's some reliable companies you can go through, but I mean, for the most part, I am probably going to drift back to backing like technology, like whatever next Pebble watch comes out. I have a Pebble Time here, and I was going to do the Pebble Time 2, but then, I mean, I was already backing the Tilt View heart rate monitor, and anyways, I might just go back to technology, electronics, small electronics. That was like $50, and from a company that already has products out in the stores and things, and they're decent. Anyways, I have some major lemons in the Kickstarter space, and this is not one of them. I think this is a pretty good worker placement game, or I'm sorry, I keep on confusing worker placements with deck builders for some reason, at least in the wording. This is a pretty good deck building game, and I just haven't gotten it out to the table because there are all these other games I want to like show off and play, like like Millennium Blades. I just did the few videos on those, and I still have a couple more videos to post up. But let me get to it. Shadowrift is everybody plays a wizard in this city, this small town, and it's almost like a Cthulhu game, right? Almost like Arkham Horror or something, but a deck builder. And and I know the Arkham Horror deck LCG is coming out, which technically is not a deck builder. I like to tell people they're constructed decks format, like Magic, or any number of collectible card games, trading card games. They're like versus almost. But what I like about them is kind of like, I know it didn't get like as great a reception the past couple living card games. They're similar. Is the Lord of the Rings one, which I really like it in concept, and I think has a lot of replay value. My friend's got it. I might actually have him bring that with him to play on my potluck. It's a constructed deck format, but you can buy small expansions of characters and abilities and spells and whatnot, or you can buy the bigger expansions, which include whole sets of adventures and all new monsters and bosses and things in the whole Lord of the Rings fantasy world, or I guess the Tolkien world, whatever. I'm not a huge Lord of the Rings buff. I do enjoy the movies. I've read most of the books, most of the main books that we all know, all the popular ones, the first ones, and then and some of the games. So anyways, the way the Lord of the Rings, because it's adventure based, so you just keep on buying all the stuff, and it's not to beef up your decks necessarily. I mean, it is, but then you're also, when you're done with the main adventure, whatever 3 or 4 it has packed in the core box, then you can just buy more adventures. You want more characters? Buy more characters. You want more adventures and characters and maybe mechanics and whatnot, then you buy the big giant set, the big expansion at the end of the year. So I think it's very versatile, and you don't feel like you need to. I mean, unless you're like totally addicted to buying everything, you shouldn't feel like you have to like keep on buying stuff for a richer experience. You can. It's pretty good with the core set. Obviously, it would be a little bit lackluster, and I recommend you get some expansions. But yeah, you can buy a few expansions. There's like 30 of them, right? You just buy 2 or 3 every year, right? I mean, that's how I used to buy Magic cards. Every set, I'd buy 5 or 6 boosters, and I always tell people a couple. I'll buy a couple when a set first comes out, just to see what kind of cards come out, and get a couple rares, and maybe I'm lucky and I might get like a really, really, I've never gotten like a highly coveted rare, but I mean, you get a Planeswalker, you might get something like just really cool, that's rare, or even a mythic, or a foil. You get something special, right? So, and then if my friends are playing, then maybe every week, instead of a cup of coffee, I get myself 2 boosters, $5. No big deal. That's how it should be played. That's how it should be viewed, I think. Otherwise, Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro, they won't keep on nerfing certain cards, trying to keep people from selling them and making it a whole. I mean, it is a big moneymaker, but they're continually nerfing cards and trying to make it so that people aren't like leaning on having to buy these super expensive cards, even though it is a collectible card game. They still want it accessible by everybody, and there's different ways you can access the cards. You can go on Magic the Gathering Online. You can use that program that's still around, Octagon, OCTGN, I think. But the logo is an octagon, so that's how people pronounce it. Anyways, let me get to Shadowrift. I've already talked 9.5 minutes, and not even about Shadowrift. So, cooperative deck builder, and I would say this is a semi-co-op, because you don't get to. The players take their turns simultaneously. Like there's a town phase or a monster phase, and then there's the player phase, and that happens simultaneously in any order the characters choose. But really, you don't get to share resources except for money. And then, well, you get to invite people, townspeople, and wanderers into your town, and you can recruit them to help you out. So, and different people, you only get one person, so obviously different people on your team. It's 2 to 6 players, or I would say 1 to 6, because you can play 2 characters by yourself. It's not ideal, but it can happen. So again, this is one of those games where I've only played a couple times, only once with my brother to try it out, and he thought it was pretty good. But we have our other games, like I have the Legendary Encounters Predator, which I really like, but I like the Alien one better. It's just thematically it works better. It was the first one and very well implemented. The other ones are a bit lackluster. They're missing something. It's like they get worse and worse. I mean, the content is definitely building from the original and in a positive way, but there's always something. Like the Alien one, the artwork is great. It's kind of overly violent. So I mean, I have a friend who would prefer his young kids don't play that card game just because the artwork is just too violent. But it's the most complete and very well implemented version of Encounters so far, I think. The Predator Encounters, what that's lacking is when you have your scenarios, the penalties for the scenarios are very lackluster. They're not. With the Alien one, they're very like specific to the different movie scenarios, but with the Predator one, it's just like, here's your penalty, and then like there's 3 different cards, but they all say the same thing. It's like you do the same thing as the first one. It's like, well, why do you have 3 cards if they're all going to be the same? And then you have the Big Trouble Little China. I think it builds off of the Predator PvP mechanic, but I think the Predator one's better because you can actually target other predators when you play the competitive game. You can do kind of bad things to other people or to everyone in general as a global thing, whereas the thing that Big Trouble Little China does that's actually not very good is it takes that PvP element, they apply it to the Marvel Legendary, the regular, what people are dubbing the regular deck building game, and it's always like the cards are like, you'll get this bonus if you do something to the player on the left. It's always the player on the left, or there might be some cards that will say the player to the right. Instead of saying choose another player and do something bad to them. You know, why do you have to be so specific? So we got one game we played. One guy I was his player to the left. There were 3 of us. He was taking my gray cards, and then the guy to my left, I wasn't really doing anything to him, but then what he was doing to his left, which was the guy who was stealing all my gray cards, was to get a specific bonus. He had to reveal a card at random from the player on his left's hand that was a non-gray card. Well, he was stealing all my gray cards for his bonuses, so the guy on my left never got his bonus. He got his bonus one time out of like a 2-hour game. So yeah, I think there's just better ways. And then of course, people know by now the Firefly version is fun, but the artwork is like it's hard to look at. It's not good, and it's inconsistent. Anyways, I'm getting distracted again. Another 15 minutes down, but I think I can do this. So the instructions are actually very minimal. What you're gonna have, and I had to separate the cards. I took all my extra foam blocks, and in here are the These are all your enemies. You got fire dragons, necromancers, drow, demons, stormlords, glacian. I think that's it. And I think you can. Well, I wouldn't mix and match these. These are kind of specific. And then I had to move because I sleeved the cards. So before all the cards fit in here, there was one the insert, and this is part of what's left of the insert. I just use it as a divider. There was an insert which was just a channel in the center, and all the cards fit inside, and it was fine. But you know me, I sleeve everything. So, and I got kind of pretty good sleeves. Not super thick, but they are thicker than the super cheap sleeves. So, yeah, so it increased the thickness by a lot. And so I had to separate the remaining cards. Oh, come on. Into here. And I have, of course, I still have the dividers. I almost don't want to pull it out because it's so nice and neat, but, you know, I want to show it off. These are awful. These are terrible. They're hard to handle. It's like the cheapest of the cheap. I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know what game they stole this from. But these are, this is the first player, or the active player pawn. And then, I think he breaks ties or something. Or, I forget. Oh, he sets off the, when you get victory points, he gets the first one, and then everyone else after him will get something. Sometimes the last couple people in that circle don't get anything, but then the first player or the lead player token rotates every round, so someone's always going to get stiffed on points. Now, I don't remember what the black ones are. I think they just mean they're a greater value than the little red ones. Let's say the red ones are 1, and then the big black discs are 5s, right? 10s or whatever. These discs represent the energy required to summon monsters into the world. And oh, like I was saying, it's like Arkham. Before I distracted myself, it's like Arkham Horror, where or like even Eldritch Horror, or even now Reign of Cthulhu, which is another Cthulhu game. Pandemic, of course. So these Shadow Rifts open and monsters are coming out. There's 6 of them. And one of the ways you can win the game is to close them all. And that's what you're doing. Or you can build up 8 pieces of the wall. But the monsters are continuously coming, so that's very challenging to do because monsters are constantly banging on the walls and turning them down and stuff. So, closing the Shadow Rifts seemed like the most viable way to do things. So we're going to choose a monster. So you can see here I have starter decks, town cards, which is the pool of stuff, kind of like Heroes of Metro City. The town cards are the stuff that you can get. Heroism, these are bonus points. They're like wild cards. Wounds, these clutter up your hands, your decks, so you have less chance of pulling out stuff. Corpses is another way to lose the game if there are too many. There's a pool of townsfolk that you can get, and if it's full of corpses, then there's too many dead people in town, and you either got to clean them up or lose the game. Coin is how much money you can get, and then you purchase things. You purchase cards and hero abilities, actions, attacks, and skills. You would purchase those with the coins. So we'll probably end up doing 2 videos, one setup and then one gameplay, because I thought I could cram it all in one, but I spent half the time yakking away. So let's do. I've never done dragons. Let's do dragons. But yeah, I just have the burning cards. And one thing about this is there aren't a lot of reference. I mean, they have the burn cards, and if you have any questions on how they work, it's not really addressed in the book, I don't think. It's got like a little definition. But so you can have these burn cards, and then you have let's see. There's some startup cards. They help you build scenarios. So, let me see if I can find them. I think the Shadowrifts, the amount of Shadowrifts that you have to close depends on how many players, how many people are playing. Let me double check that. Because I think there's, because up to 6. So there's 6, like 1 for each player playing. So this is how you'll lose. It says your town will be wiped out. If your town contains no walls or villagers at the start of your turn, you lose. You can also lose by plague. If the entire corpse deck is in your town, you lose. The entire corpse deck. Okay, I guess there aren't a whole lot of corpses. Some monsters are so powerful they can destroy the world. So don't let them do that. You might win. So they have 3 ways to lose and 2 ways to win. Monster deck contains 1 Shadow Rift per hero. Okay, yeah. So seal them all and you win. Turn the town into an impenetrable fortress by building all 8 walls and you win. So it says see page 8 for box organization. It's no longer relevant because I've changed it. Alright. So set up. Each hero gets a starter deck. So I'll give myself 2 heroes. So I'll have 2 Shadow Rifts. 4, 5, 6. There's the starter cards. So I'll take two Shadow Rifts. They're the same. It says, I don't know if you can read that. There we go. When a Shadow Rift is sealed, it is removed from the game. If all Shadow Rifts are sealed, the heroes win. And I don't know, you use magic. There's a seal they can get. And I don't know, I guess it makes sense that the seal goes away when you use it on the Shadow Rift, but it doesn't say to, I guess that makes sense. It doesn't say to remove the seal from the game. It almost seems like you can reuse them. Okay, so I'll set that aside. Oh, these are the dragons. They need different max. So these are the other Shadow Rifts. 4 of them. So they'll go back in the box. So give each hero a starter deck. Starter decks consist of 1 Explore, 2 Strikes, 7 Prowess. That's 10 cards. Okay. Starter cards have the swords at the bottom. So 7 Prowess. I don't think I have them separated by deck. Let's see. Maybe I do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Prowess. 1 Explore, 1 Strike, or 2 Strikes. That's 10. Okay, yeah. I have it separated. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. And these 3 cards. Then the rest will go back in the box. Alright. And then, so we'll separate these for now. These go in the monster deck. These are monster deck. These actually stay set aside, I believe. These are spells. You may pay 1 coin. You may pay coin to remove burn from your hand. If removed, return this card. So it's virtually unlimited burn cards, and they clutter up your deck, like wounds do. But wounds, you get rid of those some other way. I think there's ointment or something. Okay, so we'll separate those 2. These are the monster decks. Okay, and then choose a monster faction and 8 stacks of hero cards, either randomly or with care. So we're gonna use the guides. I think they're in here. Oh, I need those anyways. So there's like a monster track that they follow, and it's also like your setup guide. They help set up your scenarios, which I think is pretty fun. That's a good deal. So monsters enter play on or above this space. So this, you'll have start, and they'll travel across. Start 1, 2, 3. Player guides, order of play, walls, and extra Shadowrift. So this gives this is just player guides, but on the back they have the different scenarios, meaning whatever enemies you choose, they suggest 8 sets of cards they can pull out. So just like it says in the setup, you want to choose 8 cards, 8 stacks. Where is it? You choose a monster faction and 8 stacks of hero cards, so they can be random. I've been just using the recommended. But, so you have these, and these have also other setups. So the Fire Dragons will be using this setup. But how the dragons come out, how the monsters come out is, you'll have a stack, a monster stack, and we'll shuffle them up. And then you just draw the first one, and there will be a constant stream of monsters. See, this one actually takes 7 to summon, has 10 hit points, which sucks. And then every time it gets to the end of the line, I don't know if you've ever played Fury of Dracula. This is kind of like how Dracula's vampires come out. So there's a set of there's like a incubation period. In Fury of Dracula is like 6 spaces or something. But in this game, let's pull out something else, something smaller. Rain of Fire, that's a spell, power. So, oh, they're bigger. Wow, awful. I guess it doesn't really matter. Here's one. Greater Flame Rack. It's a dragon. So it's got 3 things. When it hits 1 space, so it'll travel, come out here, right, and then it'll travel. So each turn, so next turn or next round, it'll come here. So when it hits here on the 1, you follow what it says. It kills the baker. If the baker isn't there, then he lucks out. If there's a rampage, that means the monster's not satisfied. So it'll you have to go through your draw pile and pull out a villager. You cycle through it until you pull out a villager. There's some bad villagers that you can get, but if you pull out a regular good villager, then he kills that one instead. But in this case, there's no rampage. So on the next round, if there's no baker, he doesn't kill the baker. On the next round, it says monsters move to this space to take their round 1 action, round 2, and then round 3. So you can come here, add a corpse, so dead body falls from the sky or something. And then here it says kill the stone mason. And then what happens is it'll come out to the end and it'll drop off 2 of these red power discs. And you get that because of here. There's 2 flame things here. And then if there's like, this takes 6. So if there isn't enough, it'll come back to the beginning and it'll go through. So you have a little time before it comes out. And then it'll come out, spend these, and then the next one will come out. I believe that's how it works. So I've hit 30 minutes, or 29 minutes. I'm going to stop this video, and then I'm going to continue on with a follow-up video. Hopefully get in some gameplay. Hopefully I won't get too distracted. So I'll see you in the next video.